The old man stood quietly in the middle of the bank lobby, his worn-out coat covered in dust and his shoes barely holding together. His hands trembled slightly as he leaned on a wooden cane. Around him, polished marble floors gleamed under the bright daytime sunlight streaming through the giant glass windows. Wealthy customers glanced at him and quickly looked away. Some whispered, others smirked, a few openly laughed. What nobody in that building knew was that within the next hour, every single person mocking him would wish they had treated him differently. Before we begin, if you believe kindness matters more than appearances and that everyone deserves respect regardless of how they look, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy for more inspiring stories that touch the heart. The old man's name was Alaric Boone. At 78 years old, life had carved deep lines into his face. His gray beard was uneven, and his clothing made him appear homeless. Yet there was something calm and dignified about the way he carried himself. The security guard at the entrance watched him suspiciously from the moment he walked inside. Several customers sitting in the waiting area exchanged uncomfortable looks. A young businessman even pulled his expensive briefcase closer as if the old man might steal it. Alaric noticed every stare, he noticed every whisper, but he said nothing. For years, he had learned that silence often revealed people's true character better than words ever could. The bank was known as Crestview Financial, one of the largest and most successful banking institutions in the country. Its headquarters towered over downtown like a monument to wealth and power. Most people knew the company was owned by a mysterious billionaire who rarely appeared in public. Few had ever seen his face. That was exactly how Alaric wanted it. Many years earlier, he had grown up in crushing poverty. His father worked endless shifts in a steel factory, while his mother cleaned houses to keep food on the table. They struggled every day, but they taught him lessons money could never buy. His mother often told him that the true measure of a person was how they treated those who could do nothing for them. Those words stayed with him his entire life. After decades of hard work, sacrifice, and smart investments, Alaric built an empire. Yet despite becoming one of the wealthiest men in the nation, he never forgot where he came from. That morning, he had decided to make an unannounced visit to one of his flagship branches. Not as a billionaire, not as the owner, but as a poor old man. What he wanted to discover was simple. How did his employees treat ordinary people? The answer was about to break his heart. As Alaric slowly approached the customer service desk, a young employee named Victor glanced up and immediately frowned. Victor was ambitious, polished, and eager to climb the corporate ladder. Unfortunately, he had also developed the habit of judging people based on appearances. Without even greeting the old man, Victor impatiently waved him aside. The wealthy clients behind him were served first. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Customers who arrived long after Alaric were called forward while he remained standing alone. His legs began to ache, but he continued waiting quietly. Across the lobby, a few customers began laughing. One woman covered her mouth as she pointed toward his torn coat. A man shook his head and muttered that people like him should not be allowed inside luxury banks. The words were cruel, yet what hurt most was that none of the employees corrected them. No one stepped in, no one showed compassion, no one offered a chair. The atmosphere felt colder, with every passing moment. Finally, after nearly 40 minutes, Victor reluctantly called him forward. When Alaric reached the desk, Victor barely looked up from his computer. His expression carried clear annoyance. The old man calmly explained that he wished to review several accounts. Victor immediately assumed there was a mistake. People dressed like this did not have significant accounts. At least that was what he believed. Without checking carefully, he dismissed Alaric's request and suggested he visit a smaller branch that handled basic customers. The statement stung, not because it insulted Alaric personally, but because it revealed something much deeper. The culture inside his company was beginning to rot. Years of success had created arrogance, and arrogance had replaced empathy. As Alaric stood there absorbing the disappointment, a voice suddenly interrupted. A young woman named Serena Vale approached from another desk. Serena had worked at the bank for only 8 months. Unlike many of her colleagues, she had grown up facing hardship herself. She noticed the old man's tired posture and immediately sensed something was wrong. Without hesitation, she offered him a seat and a glass of water. Her kindness seemed small, but to Alaric, it stood out like a light in darkness. For the first time that morning, someone treated him like a human being. Serena patiently listened as he explained his request. Unlike Victor, She did not make assumptions. She simply opened the account records. Seconds later, her eyes widened. Then widened again. She checked the screen 3 times. The numbers could not be real. The accounts connected to the old man contained assets worth billions. Her heart began racing. Surely there had been some mistake. Yet every verification confirmed the same thing. The elderly man sitting before her controlled more wealth than most corporations. Serena looked at him carefully. The old man simply smiled. Not proudly, not arrogantly, just gently. Before she could say anything, the branch manager appeared. His name was Graham Pierce. Graham had built his reputation on results, profits, and appearances. He quickly noticed Serena's shocked expression. When she quietly informed him about the account holder's identity, the color drained from his face. The manager rushed over. Suddenly his attitude transformed. His forced smile appeared instantly. His voice became warm and welcoming. Employees who had ignored Alaric moments earlier now surrounded him with attention. The change was immediate, and painfully obvious. Alaric observed every second of it. He noticed the fake smiles, the nervous laughter, the desperate attempts to impress him. Yet none of it erased what had happened before. Because character reveals itself when nobody thinks they are being watched. The manager escorted Alaric to a private executive office overlooking the city skyline. There, the old man finally revealed the truth. He was not merely a wealthy customer. He was the founder and sole owner of Crestview Financial. The room fell silent. Several senior employees stared in disbelief. Some looked terrified. Others appeared ready to faint. Victor felt his stomach drop. His entire morning replayed in his mind. Every dismissive glance, every rude comment, every assumption. The consequences were becoming clear. Yet Alaric's expression remained calm. He did not yell. He did not insult anyone. Instead, he began telling a story. He spoke about his childhood. He described sleeping in cramped apartments. He remembered days when his parents skipped meals so he could eat. He recalled being judged because of his clothes, ignored because of his appearance, dismissed because of his poverty. As he spoke, many employees lowered their eyes. The room grew heavy with shame. Alaric explained that he had built the bank to create opportunity, trust, and dignity. Money was important, but people mattered more. Without compassion, success became meaningless. Without respect, wealth became empty. His words struck the room harder than any angry speech ever could. Even Victor felt tears gathering in his eyes. For the first time, he realized how deeply his behavior had hurt others. Not just that morning, but likely many times before. Alaric then requested employee records and customer feedback reports. The investigation lasted several hours. What it uncovered was troubling. Complaints about discrimination had quietly increased. Elderly customers often felt neglected. Lower-income clients reported feeling unwelcome. The problems extended far beyond a single branch. Alaric understood that fixing the culture would require more than replacing a few employees. The entire organization needed to remember its purpose. Over the following months, major changes swept through Crestview Financial. Customer service training became mandatory. Performance reviews began measuring kindness and empathy alongside financial results. Employees were encouraged to support vulnerable customers rather than judge them. New community outreach programs launched across the country. Branches partnered with shelters, retirement homes, and local charities. The transformation was remarkable, yet perhaps the most surprising change occurred within Victor himself. Instead of firing him immediately, Alaric gave him a chance to grow. Victor spent months volunteering in community programs sponsored by the bank. He met families facing hardship. He listened to stories of struggle. He witnessed realities he had previously ignored. Slowly, his perspective changed. The arrogance disappeared. Compassion took its place. 1 year later, Victor had become one of the bank's strongest advocates for customer dignity. The lesson never left him. As for Serena, her kindness did not go unnoticed. She was promoted several times and eventually became regional director. Whenever people asked about her success, she always credited a simple principle. Treat everyone with respect, because you never know what battles they carry, or what story they hide behind their appearance. Years later, Alaric continued making surprise visits to branches around the country. Sometimes he arrived in expensive suits. Other times he dressed exactly as he had that day. Each visit reminded him of something important. Human beings are quick to judge what they see, but true worth is rarely visible on the surface. One sunny afternoon, while visiting another branch, he noticed a young employee helping an elderly customer who appeared confused and overwhelmed. The employee sat patiently beside her, explaining every detail with kindness and care. Watching from a distance, Alaric smiled. The culture was changing, not because of policies, not because of rules, but because people were beginning to understand what truly mattered. And that was exactly the legacy he hoped to leave behind. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Your support helps spread stories that remind us all to choose kindness over judgment. Special request. Comment below with the words, "Kindness sees beyond appearances," if you believe every person deserves respect no matter how they look. As the years passed, Alaric often reflected on that unforgettable morning. He realized the greatest investment he ever made was not in buildings, stocks, or businesses. It was in people, because money can build banks, but only kindness can build trust. Wealth can open doors, but compassion opens hearts. And sometimes, the person standing quietly, in worn-out clothes is carrying a value far greater than billions of dollars. The next time you see someone who seems different, struggling, or forgotten, remember Alaric Boone. Remember that every person has a story. Every face hides unseen battles. Every life carries invisible worth. And perhaps the greatest mistake we can make is judging someone before we truly know who they are. Because respect costs nothing, but it can change everything.